Hi, everyone. I'm just going to give a minute to let some more people join, and then we will get started for this afternoon. Hope everyone's having a great Tuesday. All right, welcome everyone. My name is Carmen, and I'm the training coordinator at the Temple Small Business Development Center. The Temple SBDC helps small businesses start and grow. We provide free one-on-one counseling and a variety of low to no cost webinars, and we are proud to be a part of the nationally accredited network of SBDCs with over 1,000 centers across the United States. You have joined us this afternoon for Understanding Instagram Analytics. A copy of today's PowerPoint and a link to the recording of this session will be sent out to all attendees. And while all attendees have been muted, we encourage you to post any questions in the chat or Q&A. Just a fair warning, we will address all the questions at the end of the session. So if you have something on your mind, feel free to just throw it in the chat. And now I will pass the floor over to Sarah.
Hey everyone. How are you today? Hope you're doing great. Thanks for spending your lunch break with me. This should be, I hope, informative. Feel free to get comfy and everything like that. If you haven't already grabbed your maybe midday caffeinization kind of drink, go for it, and then we will begin. Of course, I'm going to do that weird little shuffle between getting my screen share up. So bear with me. I think we're used to this in the age of all of the webinars we've done over the past few years where there's always that awkward 30 seconds. But anyways, so before I get started, a little bit about myself. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I saw the chat pop up. Wanted to make sure it wasn't like, we can't hear you. A little bit about myself. My name is Sarah D. George. I'm a digital marketing specialist in Philadelphia. I primarily work with small to mid-sized businesses. My goal in life and my career is to make marketing not as scary or time consuming or stressful for small business owners, growing businesses. There's enough that one has to do as a business owner in their day. So I want to make marketing more focused on who they are. We end up doing a lot of things based off of what other people are doing, what the competitors are doing. And I always like to remind the people that I work with that everybody has their own people that will be really interested in who they are. Maybe they like your quirky sense of humor. Maybe they like the fact that your dog joins in on your Instagram videos, things of that nature. You will find your own people being your authentic self. And when you are your authentic self and showing up in marketing, it's just so much easier because you're not pretending to be somebody. You are just being you in the way you speak, in copy, if you're on video, anything like that. And it just makes marketing a whole lot easier. But today, talking a little bit more on the technical end, I know analytics can sometimes be a little scary just because if you're not a numbers person, percentages, decimal points, it might seem a little bit out there, but I want to try and make, again, the kind of analytics end of everything a little bit easier as well by turning it into more of, say, looking at the numbers and turning it into a storyboard for how you can build your Instagram strategy and even your marketing strategy beyond Instagram, because some of this information can be helpful off of the platform. So without further ado, don't fear the analytics. Got this obviously from Don't Fear the Reaper. If you're a Blue Oyster Cult fan, that's how I thought of this. So anyways, making an Instagram marketing strategy that works for you. So first and foremost, we'll get kind of like the high level question out of the way. Why care about Instagram analytics? First and foremost, you learn about, how, what, when your audience consumes your content. You really want to know. Unfortunately, there are algorithms, there are things that are beyond what we can see and what we can tangibly work with. So you want to make sure that your content, when you're putting it out there, especially as a business, because it will be in a public business account, is able to be seen by who you want to be seen. And that comes down to knowing items such as when are the times in which your target audience is really looking and engaging with your content. You don't want to post at this time when nobody is looking. That's really your core community of individuals that really interacts and might potentially also become a paying customer or at least a loyal follower. So you want to make sure that you are looking at analytics for these types of considerations. With that, you can then help create buyer personas or avatars. Just obvious for those that don't know, it's just more of a three-dimensional version of, say, the demographic information you see online. It just helps you create somebody that feels like a tangible person so that you can create content that you feel would help with transformations, pain points. I'm more of a transformational end of marketing where I like talking about the positive outcomes of working with somebody versus, you're feeling tired and you're feeling stressed or your shoes don't fit or, things of that nature. That's always helpful in your copy, but I think that people look for that transformation. And when you are looking at the data, you can kind of come up with somebody. Like I always say, you want to create a customer avatar where at the end of it, you're like, oh, hey, yeah, this reminds me of my great Aunt Sally, or this reminds me of my best friend Erica, where you can actually take that information and be like, because this person seems so similar to somebody I already know what it is they may be looking for. And of course, there'll be more data on analytics that you can gather to get a better, more solidified idea of what they're looking for, even just based on the numerics that you can find in the back end. And then lastly, looking at your analytics, especially on a regular basis, gives you a baseline for how you're doing. You might see 1 month, your analytics are really good. You're getting followers that seem very engaged, comments, shares, saves, which I'll go into a little bit more. People are clicking on your website link on Instagram, which shows that whatever it is you said in your captions on a reel, on a story, really made them take the next action or the intended action that you want them to take. So it helps you see what changes, what remains the same, what's going well, what maybe needs to change. So those are kind of the biggest pieces of why Instagram analytics, and I will extend this to any type of analytics, but I will keep it on Instagram just because that is the topic. But all analytics and marketing can provide you the same value depending on your target audience. But I'm assuming that since you're here, you know or have an inkling that Instagram is where your target audience exists, or it's one of the platforms that you're working on. So I know we said this is one of those things where you will have to know where you're looking for this information. So I have a start here. So if you are on your business account, that's the first and foremost. You're going to start and you're going to see professional dashboard and you're going to click on that. And then you are going, or if you aren't on the main page and you're in the settings, which are the 3 lines on the top right, you will also be able to access it from insights. If you are working from a personal account, you're not going to get these insights. So that's why I showed, if you go to the 3 lines on the right-hand side, you go to settings and you scroll down to account types and tools, there should be an option for you to transfer a personal account into a professional account, which is where you will get access to these data points. But I wanted to give this first just because unfortunately I don't have the setup at the moment for doing like a live screen share of my Instagram account. I would love to do that, but I figured this would be the next best thing. So these are the points of where you should be looking. So again, you will want to either see where the professional dashboard is or click on top right, 3 lines, go down to insights. And if not, and you need to start over at the business account and switching a personal over to a business, you can go to account types and tools and it'll flip you over to a business account. I will note very quickly that one of the interesting changes from going from a personal account to a business account, and it comes down to say like trending music and things of that nature, is you don't get the same access to the music that you do as a personal one. Personal, I feel like you can just use anything, any popular music, but business, you can't use anything that is copyrighted. So the amount of trending music you can use is it goes down a little bit. So if you're having reels or anything of that nature, stories, you don't have the same amount of options. But if that doesn't matter to you, that's fine. Just figured I would add that little tidbit because whenever I'm doing something and all of a sudden I have weird access to music that I know I normally wouldn't be able to post, I usually look and I'm like, oh, I'm in my personal account. Oops, gotta switch over. So sometimes that happens, but I hope that helps you navigate. So I said I would go over some of the main terms, things of that nature, also kind of go over the importance. So gathering data. So when you're in the professional dashboard, you will see what is on the left-hand side of your screen. There's going to be different items you can click on: accounts reached, accounts engaged, total followers, content you shared. And then there are obviously different types of content, what it means, how much it matters, things of that nature. So likes versus comments. I think that we all more or less know likes versus comments. Of course, like is just hitting the little heart, and commenting feels a little bit more engaging. Of course, there's bot comments that inevitably show up if you post a specific word. How many of them are like send pics to or click the link in bio, and it can get a little annoying. There is a way, and I can actually send this as a follow-up in a YouTube tutorial, that you can block certain words from coming up in your comments moving forward. So if send pics, I have like pics as a blocked word. So it has helped with those bot comments if you're dealing with those, but I can send that as a follow-up. If that's okay. Temple Small Business Development Center, I can send that as a follow-up along with the slides and everything like that. I can add it as another slide to this. But with that being said, likes versus comments. Likes, if on the hierarchy, they're helpful. But in the hierarchy of engagement, and especially working the algorithms in some ways, they're probably at the bottom of the totem pole in terms of really building up your engagement. Comments are great as long as, they are useful and engaging, and again, not bot comments, and especially if you're commenting back. So that would help. And again, anything that is building your engagement will also help your analytics that you're going to be looking at. Impressions versus profile visits. So impressions means like where you showed up on the explore page. Like if somebody saw but didn't click, that's an impression. So your impressions are always going to be higher than your profile visits. If you like doing the math, you can, when you find the impressions part of your analytics, you can obviously do the math and divide by each other to see what the percentage point of how many people see versus actually visit your specific page. Which can be helpful because then you can see, what might you need to do to make your post or your reel pop a little bit more on the explore page when people are just kind of aimlessly scrolling, looking for something to consume. Followers versus non-followers, of course. Are they following versus are they seeing your content based off of, say, a hashtag you used or anything else where the Instagram algorithms are assuming that somebody may enjoy that content. You're going to see when you click in, more times than not, you're going to have more non-followers than followers seeing your content. Very interesting conundrum. It can be great, but again, then you have people you're following, and this could be personal or professional, where you never see their content, yet you see all of this other, all these other posts and reels out there, and it can kind of be like, well, these are my followers, so they're my most engaged. They wanted to follow me and see my content, but they're not seeing my content. So with that being said, I'm actually going to flip to the bottom first. Saves and shares are definitely higher on the totem pole. A lot of times it's one of those things where saving and sharing content sometimes can help you get put in front of your followers a little bit more often. So reminding people like, hey, if you really like my content, save it. There's like a little kind of like, it looks like a bookmark, and it should be on the lower right-hand corner where you can save, say, a reel or any piece of content that you can go back to later. And as the person posting it, it can help showcase to the algorithms, Instagram, that the follower wants to see more of your content. And then same thing with shares, sharing to a story, also is a good indicator that somebody is very is interested, because they're going beyond just a quick like and then commenting, which is the next best step, and then saves and shares are definitely higher up on the totem pole. And that's a great kind of additional piece if it's not necessarily about the analytics, but how you can continue to engage your clients, customers, followers online, is even making a line item like, hey, would love to know, are you seeing my content? If not, make sure you're saving it. That's a great way to help the likelihood of you seeing my content more regularly. Share my content in your stories, things of that nature. Having that as a call to action, there's nothing wrong with it. And if somebody is really interested and wants to see your content, that can help more followers see. Not a guarantee, but it's better to do that and have some of a better outcome than not trying it at all. And then lastly, external link taps. So we know there's only one link on Instagram. A lot of times there's three ways to do it. You just have one link, goes to say your web page or whatever the current landing page you want people to go to. You can use Linktree or any of those link platforms. The best way to do it, if you have the tech skills or if you want to outsource, is to actually build out a link page from your own website, kind of the same idea as Linktree. But again, it keeps people on your website and you're seeing people and their analytics on your website versus Linktree, where you kind of don't have the same analytic information. But external link taps will show you how many people are then going to your page and taking an action. So then you could do, for example, the same math as impressions versus profile visits. You could do profile visits and then have external link taps, so you can go even more granular. So these are just a few pieces of data that you might see when you're diving through. So again, professional dashboard on the left-hand side, you're able to click on accounts reached, accounts engaged, total followers, content you shared, and that will get even more granular as to what information will be then shared on those next pages. So this is the pages that you might see. The first one is a great kind of informational base about the age range, how many people are, again, following you and what is their age range. This can give you a lot of information about maybe how you speak in the comments, who you're attracting. Is who you're attracting who you expected to attract? Are you seeing some sort of trend as to who is engaging? Are you seeing the fact that the people that you're trying to engage are the least, interactive? This could be maybe a new audience that you haven't thought about, or maybe again, you're not really saying things in the way that your target audience really understands, and maybe you have to go back and rework your captioning, create videos that are more focused on the topics that your target audience is engaged with. Or maybe you need to create a new idea of maybe this is an audience that we didn't think about. I always bring up the idea of furnishing homes and things of that nature. Or a lot of people think of like first-time homeowners, but at the same time, or there might be a subcategory that you don't realize where we talk about furnishing homes for empty nesters, who are a completely different age demographic, but they're trying to reorganize their home because now they don't have kids in there anymore, and maybe they're downsizing and things of that nature. There might be unintended new audiences that, you could see based on who is engaging, based on, their age demographic, their gender, things of that nature. You might also look at post insights. Like I said, you'll see here again, the non-follower versus followers. How many non-followers are seeing versus followers? How can you get more followers to hopefully see your content? Again, the impressions you can see from hashtags, from the homepage, from your profile. How are people seeing you and where are they finding you? Again, also most active times on the next screen, you see the gender proportion now where it's 82% women and 17% men. But most active times, it can give you a good idea, like for this one, don't want to be posting at 3 a.m. Nobody's really looking, but hey, between 12 and 6, even 9 to 9, it's a long period of time, but you can get an idea of what are the safe zones to post, and even scheduling if you use a scheduler, or if you're posting literally live from your phone, you'll know when you should be around your phone to make the post. And then again, real insights. with video being a high consumption rate on, say, Instagram as our topic, TikTok, YouTube, things of that nature, you'll want to, as long as you feel comfortable, and there are ways, of course, to create reels that don't necessarily have to have your face in front of it. It could be completely without you in the video, but still providing educational, entertaining, thought leadership, and even sales information in a way that your customers will engage with. So here you can see how many times the video was played. Next one is likes. Next one is comments, shares, and then again, like the little bookmark I said, saved. And then the reach, again, you'll see this one, what I mean by non-followers versus followers when it comes to the reels. And then it gives you a little bit more content interaction. So these are a few of the interfaces that you will see when you click on all of these dashboards. And whether it's right now while we're talking or even after we get off of the video, I implore you to kind of play around and see what it is you are looking at when it comes to your analytics, because you might find things, again, just looking at the information. And I will say it might seem like a lot of information, but how Instagram does lay it out is pretty intuitive in terms of what it is you're looking at in terms of, gender, active times. It doesn't bury too much of the information. I do find it to be a fairly intuitive, even for the 101 level of analytics. It doesn't give you too much where you're like, I no longer know what it is I am looking at here. But it also gives you enough that you can surmise perhaps, well, this content I posted, for example, so going back one screen, if you remember, there was like the content you posted as one of the things. It'll give you all of the content from the most engaged to the least engaged. And then you can also see, this was my most popular reel. This was my most popular static post. Why did, what's the connection? Why were these two popular? Maybe it was the subject matter. Maybe it was something as simple as, again, the time you posted. Maybe it was the fact that you got a lot of comments or a lot more people shared or saved the post. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can then look and see what was that determining factor. And maybe there isn't a determining factor. And I will have that asterisk every time. There are sometimes it's just the luck of the draw with Instagram. But when you are actively looking at this information, you'll begin to find patterns, even if they maybe are like loosely connected patterns. You'll see like, this is the content that people really enjoy. This is the medium in which they consume the most content. This is where I get the most engagement. This is when maybe if you have, say, another analytics platform that gives you off Instagram data, say you're using Google Analytics, you can see how many people are then shifting from Instagram to your website through that kind of pipeline from specifically Instagram and then taking action on your website. Hold on one second. I just need to take a drink. Delicious. So again, just to reiterate, what can these analytics tell me? New audiences. Like I said, there are some unintended audiences. There are maybe some audiences that you were so focused on one audience that you forgot to, imagine that there was a secondary audience that could also benefit from what it is your services are, your products are, your mission is. If you aren't, say, a for-profit business, but you're a nonprofit, it helps to see. And again, are they in a new emerging audience that maybe just started or found your content, and maybe why? And you might be like, oh yeah, I was quoted in an article last month, and maybe this audience is coming to me from, that new piece of content, or again, something, or a topic starts trending, and then whatever your product or service is now kind of seen in a new light. What resonates? What is bringing in the most engagement? What times are these posted? Did you receive feedback and comments? Again, those are sometimes really good pieces of data as well. And it helps to see like what is resonating, because then you already kind of have a process down. What's resonating? The analytics can really show you that information. So you're not having to sit there and be like, what do I have to post? I don't know what to do. Again, you might have to post something new, but at least People really like it when I do this type of content. People really like it when I share thought leadership, or they like it when I do a how-to about something that you are knowledgeable in or that's related to your products or services. So you're not kind of like, do I do a how-to? Do I do something entertaining? You kind of have a kind of know what the cadence is to how you post. And lastly, areas of improvement. Of course, what falls flat? What constructive feedback have you received about certain topics you share about? Again, there's always going to be like just outright criticism on all social media platforms. But what has been constructive? And again, just because something falls flat doesn't mean it wasn't good content. It could have, again, been you posted at the wrong time. There can also be the fact that there are world news events that are happening all the time that just took all of the wind out of every other sale of posts that day. It could be something as particular as just like your area. So when Philadelphia had that, in New Jersey had that earthquake, that was all anybody talked about that day. And I can imagine that if somebody posted on Instagram something that had nothing to do with it, probably got buried. It could be as simple as that. So I would look and see what maybe was the circumstances of that, that moment. You can be like, oh yeah, today was a big news day for XYZ, or I posted at the wrong time, things of that nature. I used different hashtags that maybe didn't put me in front of the audience that maybe I expected, things of that nature. So again, just kind of taking the analytics and actually connecting it to day can also be a great way to inform yourself of like what's going well, what's not going well, and make improvement. Or again, you can even try posting something you already posted again, but at a different time. There's nothing wrong with deleting. If you want to, you don't have to. You don't have to delete. You could even just like repurpose it and see if it engages better. Say if it was a reel, put it on your stories, and see if maybe more people view it up there and then engage with it back in your reels. So I'm gonna kind of paint a picture. This is what I want people to feel comfortable with. I'm just saying you're an indie bookstore in Baltimore, Maryland. So this is kind of how when I'm working with my clients, turn these data points that are just like pie graphs and charts and everything like that, and I share it as more of a storyboard with them. So again, I'm looking at their Instagram analytics page, age ranges 25 to 44 have the most interactions. That's the group that is always most engaged with this independent bookstore in Baltimore, Maryland. Their most active times, 6 a.m., 3 p.m., and 9 p.m. in that range. Most interacted with content medium, reels with captions. Content most interacted or with most interactions, comments like shares, videos overviewing the best quick reads for each month. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at what were like the top 3 to 5 posts of that month and what were they talking about. And then external link taps, 4 out of 105 visits. Okay. So I'm looking at this. My client wants feedback. What am I going to tell them? And how am I going to kind of walk them through this so that if it's not me talking with them and maybe they're in between our calls, they can make decisions or make conclusions based on these data points instead of just looking at them as individual pieces. So let's turn it into a story. I would probably say like people who are viewing this based off of the demographics and the information we got are listening before or after work based on those times, 6, 3, maybe they're prepping for their commute home, and then 9. They're also listening after, after kids are in bed, right before they're winding down for the night, and now they're finally kind of getting to information that's more on the personal side of like hobbies they enjoy reading versus during the day that's like work. Reels with captions resonated most because again, I wrote not driving because you shouldn't be watching reels while you're driving. Resonated if they're riding public transit. Of course, they could be on the bus, they could be going between DC and Baltimore, even Philly and Baltimore if they're a commuter. If they're riding public transit, sound is most likely off and captions are read instead. I know when I am out somewhere, I will be watching videos and I'll have the captions on so I can read what it is they're saying and still getting the information that I need from the video without the sound on. So I could assume that that is the reason why that is the most popular medium, so that they're still getting their information. You can obviously read a caption in quiet and peace of quiet because there's no sound typically if it was just a static photo, but reels tend to be at least a little bit more actionable, especially if it's a how-to or they're taking you on a tour of their day or things of that nature. There's more of an entertainment value to it. So that could be a reason. And then lastly, quick reads. That sticks out to me. Showcase a need to create and promote content for busy working individuals who may want to read but don't have much interrupted time. So again, if that is like the winning content of the month, there may be something to be said there. You can make that connection between like busy adults between this age range, have work, have potentially younger children, don't have much downtime once everything is done in their day. Maybe they want a book that's just easy to read, like a nice beach read, for example. Let's figure out content that could be interesting, or continue to do these lists, or maybe take it a step further. What can we do with these quick reads, such as a video of even a sped up video. How long did it take me to read this book? If I spent 15 minutes reading it every night, even something like that. Again, people don't necessarily hate metrics sometimes. Sometimes it's kind of cool to see, okay, if you divide time, how long would it take for you to read this book if all you had was like 15 minutes a day to read it? Things of that nature. I could come up with those types of suggestions to make it seem less that we're looking at the numerics and the analytics on the page. You could screenshot and tell them everything, but this is how I would turn it into more of a storyboarding with them. Beyond that, I could also suggest changes potentially needed based off of other metrics. I would say ensure videos are under a minute in length to be consumed quickly based on the needs of your target audience, who they are, what they're doing during the day, how much time they have to dedicate. A stronger call to action within the post or the video to encourage website clicks. Again, we saw 105 versus 4. Not necessarily, the greatest in terms of getting people off of Instagram and onto the website to make a purchase. So perhaps having a stronger call to action, like, we're here in Baltimore, or if you didn't know, we have an online sales page where you can get this book right away, things of that nature. I would suggest a funnel creation, email signups, stay top of mind, even when not viewed on social media, because again, as we know, the algorithms, it's better to get on an email list where people are going to get your email in their inbox and be a little bit more top of mind. Social media is like the catalyst to then taking those next steps. So the incentives could be purchase in store, promo codes, and sales. Focusing on posting during key engagement time so the post does not get lost on the explore page from posting too early or too late. And then books and contents that can be consumed by age range. Additional books to promote could be included books for young children and teens, assuming the age of who the target audience is. Why not add on a book that might be of interest to, say, to a child that would most likely be in their age range as well, so that the adult is entertained by books. And then they also have, hey, we also have this as well that you could either gift your kid or gift your niece or nephew or things of that nature. Ways in which to continuously take that data and turn it into, say, next steps to potentially stay on top of mind with your customer base, and also test different styles of promoting on Instagram, test different add-ons, such as like the books for children that may be in the age group that the target audience would have in their lives. So I wanted to take an aside because this is not Instagram, but for people that are like, okay, this is all great. I don't really know what to post. I always like giving options for people on where to find the data for what people are actually looking for. So I love Answer the Public. Free. I think you maybe get like 1 to 3 searches a day. I can't remember. But with Answer the Public, you are able to type in whatever your topic is. I would suggest maybe doing a little bit less of like a broad thing. So if you're a cheese shop, maybe doing something a little bit more specific, like a specific type of cheese, or cheese shop in, if you're in, I don't know, I'm trying to think, Canton, Ohio, making something so that people that are specifically looking for cheese shop information for Canton, Ohio, you can see what people are searching for. It could be like, where this, answer the public. It's a cool website. It breaks down everything. It gives you the who, what, where, when, why, and how, literally, in terms of search results for what people are actively looking for. So this could be a great place for you to then get the content ideas, to then bring back onto Instagram, to then test the content information, to then look at the analytics. So this is for people that are just like, I do not know what content to create or what the topic, the topic hierarchy could be, or what people are most searching for. So this is a great place to start. And again, I know this is off of Instagram analytics, but it heavily relates back because it can help you create the content to then give you the analytics data. I know sometimes just this part of the process is the hardest. If you are kind of up against writer's block or creator's block when it comes to continuously creating engaging content. Sometimes you hit that wall and you just don't know what to do anymore. And this is one great place to look. I regularly use it to help clients, if I'm like, here are the questions being posed. Can you turn this? Like, what kind of content can you give your own take on that answers this question? Or how would you approach this in a way? What video content? Is there a post, like a static post with a picture, or even a slide of multiple pictures and a caption that you can write that's super engaging, that relates back to your business, but then also answers a very important question that people are looking for? Next one, good old Google. Again, I posted just a simple question, best formula for my 2-year-old. Maybe you're the person that has the answer to this. Your business is all about, say, or not holistic, homeopathic, formula for 2-year-olds, or maybe you make a formula that's great for, that doesn't have gluten in it. I'm a forever aunt, so I might not be stating this in the right way as to even what would be in formula, but typing in the information, when you think of any search engine search, you always can say, like, people also ask. These are great questions to gather content so that you know what people are already asking for. Most times people also ask are some of the biggest questions that people are asking. Can you add your own take to this and share it on Instagram? Could that be super beneficial? Because if a lot of people are searching for it on Google, I know that Google is more of like the answer base versus Instagram, where people are kind of more scrolling and taking content in and maybe not being as actively engaged with it. But if you're answering a question and you're on an explore page of somebody that Instagram has assumed has a child that is within that age range, you might be able to really get in front of that audience. Again, going back to the followers and non-followers. If they're a non-follower, they might become a follower. And then reminder to add a call to action to make sure that they're saving and sharing your content, things of that nature. But something as simple as a Google search of your main product or service, or a subcategory. If you're a clothing store, of course, jeans, shirts, shoes, anything of that nature, you might be able to find some really good content, put it in a spreadsheet so that what it is you want to talk about, and then even type this in and just copy paste this information so that you kind of always have a content bank that you can go back to. So data that is presented on other platforms can also inform your Instagram optimization and then help your analytics as well. And then lastly, gathering content data. It doesn't have to be third party where you're just getting it and punching in information. There are so many different ways that you can gather data that isn't numeric. So words are data, reviews are data, again, comments are data. So I posted a few different places. Again, the first on the left-hand side is LinkedIn. You can create a poll there. Obviously, your LinkedIn audience is maybe be a little bit different than your Instagram audience, but it's a great way just to know what people want to learn about, especially in your zone of expertise. You could have a poll open and then you could see what it is they want to learn more about, and that could help inform Instagram. I'm going to go to the right just because obviously the middle is Instagram. The right is Google Forms. You could actually put your Google Forms as the link or one of the links that if you use Linktree or on your website, and be able to ask, what, and have people actually fill this data out so that you can have it and it's tangible and you can look at it and be like, this is what my most active followers want to see more of. And then lastly, even having an Instagram poll. They all can exist and you can all say like, hey, I'm also on LinkedIn. I have a poll. If you're here and you're on Instagram, go over to LinkedIn. Same thing. I have my Google Forms is up in my link. Would love your feedback. Click there and you can even have that as a post, as a reel, things of that nature so that you're constantly gathering that data. And then lastly, of course, it helps with your Instagram analytics if you're creating a story on your Instagram. So that will directly, be showcased in the analytics under the stories pieces where you can, see how many people engaged with it versus how many people actually filled out the poll and what information they had. So for example, this one says, what content do you like the most? Stories, photos with captions, reels. Super simple. But knowing that can help you decide how you're going to approach moving forward with your content. If there's a 50-50 split, then maybe doing that split. If there's a clear winner, then having that as kind of your baseline is helpful information as well. And this is just literally from your audience. So they're telling you what they want to see and what medium, what the content is they want to learn about so that you can then have less of a time of trying to ideate the content and more of just creating the content, saving you time and energy. Again, going back to what I originally, stated as to what my goal is I'm trying to make marketing easier, authentic for my clients, and also less stressful and time consuming in any way, shape, or form. So what I do, what I suggest you do, it doesn't have to be monthly. It could be however you want. I would say monthly is the best because it gives you enough time to get the information for that month. Of course, you sell products. Your November and December are going to look very different from your February, March. So that's why I think monthly is helpful because there are those months depending on what it is you are selling, the services you offer. I know for me, the fiscal year starts differently than say, from January to December. So I might have slower months during times when other people have busy months. So it's just good to see so that you have a baseline of how things are going on your Instagram. So again, this is even just marketing in general, understand timely goals. What do you want to accomplish this month, quarter, year? What do the analytics tell you at the moment? How can you use this data to build upon what is working, what you maybe need to change, maybe A/B testing content. Again, if you have a 50-50 split, try and talk about content on a static post, do it in a reel, see where people are engaging more. So it gives you a better idea of maybe, hey, this content does better in caption form, this content does better in reels and video form because it's a little bit more visually based, and make those decisions. Compare data. Again, what isn't working? How does this connect to you and your business? Is it something that you need to tweak? Is your time maybe better spent not, having to even deal with that kind of posting anymore? Maybe it just isn't resonating. It hasn't resonated. I know there's the sunk cost fallacy where a lot of people are like, well, I've been doing this for so long, I need to continue to do it. But if the analytics are telling you that it's just not moving the needle, it can be sort of freeing because you're like, okay, this isn't just me getting in my head. This is literal facts and figures telling me maybe I need to take what I learned from something not working and putting that energy towards things that are giving me a better return on investment. And again, what do you need to do in your social media to move the needle towards your goals? Plan new content. By knowing what content is enjoyed and by whom, you can get a better idea of how to build content calendars for Instagram specifically, because again, Instagram posts are different than Facebook posts, which are different than Pinterest pins, that are different than YouTube videos. Although there can be some connections, which I'll get to in the next point. But there's a way in which you create your content calendar for Instagram that would differ from Facebook. For example, hashtag research is definitely more of an Instagram concept than Facebook, for example. What formats work best, what topics are most consumed, and what your most engaged customers need in terms of maybe What helpful information, what kind of freebie could you create that can get more people in that sales funnel or from Instagram onto your website based off of how people are consuming in the analytics? And then repurpose content. I'm all about repurposing content. You do not need to create new content all the time. Look at what videos work best. Can I repurpose this? Maybe you have a long form video. Can you splice it into maybe 5 or 6 really good 30-second clips where you're giving some really good details on, say, whatever it is that you have your expertise in? That's great. And again, it still is content that's all interconnected and it's from the same video, but you can space it out and post one of these every other week in the middle of all the other content you're creating. And that's already 5 posts that you've taken care of. You can put it on a reel format, and just create a content or a caption that kind of explains what's going on, strong call to action, things of that nature. But knowing that it works and splicing it can save you a lot of time and energy. And like I said, bonus tip, video does not need to solely exist on Instagram. I'm not telling you to be everywhere because that's not feasible. We are human. But if there is, say, a secondary platform that works well for you, you can use that content and put it on there. So, embed it on your website if it's a helpful kind of like start here video to get to know you or to know next steps. Put it in an email as long as it's not a huge file because you don't want slow emails. Add it on YouTube for an extra benefit since YouTube is a search engine and people are looking for information. If you're the person that can give them that information, that then leads them to your website to purchase, to sign up. That's a great way of taking Instagram content and moving it over. Of course, the quickest one that we see a lot of is TikTok videos then getting reposted on Instagram and vice versa. Make sure that your audience is, again, on the platform that you are repurposing content for. TikTok is really great. I love it. I just know sometimes people post on both, but there might be, say, a platform that works a little bit better just because they're kind of so close. People think that it's like apples to apples, but it could be apples to oranges depending on your target audience that you can learn about on Instagram. So remember, analytics don't need to be scary. They're not a determination of you as a business owner. Sometimes you need to test content before figuring out what works best. Not everything is going to land. Again, you're up against daily news that can sometimes take up the entire feed. It doesn't have to be national or international news. It could be very hyper specific, especially if you live in an area that has a lot of weird news days. So sometimes it comes down to even things that are outside of your control. Turning analytics into a story can make consumption of numbers a little bit more engaging to you. It could be a little bit more palatable to you if you're not a numbers person. So that's why I sit down and I look at the data and I plot it down. And then I say, based on this and based on what I know about my target audience, my customer avatar, things of that nature, this is what I can kind of tell a story about. Why they're engaging, how I can better engage with them. Set aside time each month to look at numbers and be okay with making decisions on how to move forward with certain content on Instagram. Again, just because you've been doing something for a very long time, if it is no longer serving you in terms of time ROI, money ROI, or even stress, it's okay to take what you learned and even take pieces of it and move it to something else. And then if one piece of content doesn't do well as planned or historically, it's okay. It's very much so okay. So again, stay in touch. This is all my information. My website, at Sarah DeGeorge is my business Instagram account. Sarah at sarahdgeorge.com is my email. And again, help create sustainable and authentic marketing strategies for scaling small businesses. Thank you. I will stop my share now.
Thank you. Okay, we do have some questions in the chat. So we will just go through them. Okay, what is the best way / resources to determine the best time to use Instagram to reach potential customers for a service business, such as accounting and recruitment business, no products to sell online?
Okay, so you can use, say, social listening platforms. I would say like Buffer, Hootsuite, things of that nature. They are at cost. Some of them have a free version. That's helpful. You can look online. My caveat to seeing like this is the best time to post on Instagram is that everybody else is reading that same article and posting at that time. So it's a lot of people kind of swarming, but it is a good indicator of say what would be a good time. Also think about your business operation as well. If this is specifically your business, when are you open? um so that when somebody is engaging with you, if they're very interested, they could send an email right away and you're going to respond to them that day, maybe within 24 hours, things of that nature. So I would say it would put it up against what the business model is, like literally your business model. Look online. And then also, again, if you wanted to add, say, a social listening platform, um, you could add that. But again, say for if you are on social media on Instagram, again, going back to the business platform, it does say like when people are most engaged there. I would then obviously implore you to make a call to action to then take the step from moving them from that Instagram page to say what it is you're not, products or to sell online, but you're selling a service. Accounting, recruitment businesses. My accountant provided helpful webinars, for example, which then obviously was a way to showcase their thought leadership and get people in their pipeline of wanting to work with them, whether it was during accounting season or as a continued CPA. So I would say your information, social listening, and then specifically since we're talking about Instagram, just looking at the data of like when people are engaging with your content most.
Okay. Next, can we change a business to a personal for that reason, or can we only switch from personal to business?
I believe you can switch it back to a personal account. You'll lose obviously the accessibility, but if you're like, I'm done with the business, I just want to turn something to a personal account, you can. There it's not going to be shared in the same way that a business account is going to. So I would, if you are a business, I probably I wouldn't backtrack to a personal because it's not going to give you the engagement and the exposure that say a business would. But I understand where you're coming from because yes, like my personal account, when I post something, I get more engagement just because the algorithms are like, well, your followers are your followers. We're not really showing this. And also my account is private. So that might also be why everything is shoved towards my personal followers again, versus my business account. But I would say that the data that it gives is very helpful. So I probably wouldn't switch it back to a personal account. But I also have seen people successfully do it. So that's why I'm like, I don't want it to be a non-answer where I'm like, but I would say it really comes down to how much information you know about your audience and then making a decision from there.
Next, I've heard anecdotally that if one uses AI to create content for blogs, etc., that it's best to use some sort of byline that acknowledges it. Perhaps something like, in quotes, created by John Alexander, coordinated with AI. Question, are these regulations or rules regarding using AI in this manner? If yes, how may I research further?
Okay, create content for blogs. All right. So it's good. So I'm a journalism major, and that's why even like on my post, even though it was quite obvious that it was like LinkedIn and all of like the things I made like my source notes. It's good to add this. Anecdotally, I cannot say whether it has any say benefit beyond just being truthful. I think it's actually refreshing when somebody states that it was helped with AI because it showcases to me that you're being honest about what the content was. But again, beyond that, I would say I am on the side of caution. There's a difference between using AI for ideation. Like sometimes if you're like, give me a good headline and some subheaders but you write everything else from yourself or like source data in which you properly cite it. Um, But in terms of, say, benefits beyond just, good, what am I trying to say? Just being a good writer and citing your sources, I am not 100% sure. I would love to, if you research this more, please share information. But I hope that was helpful, or at least kind of like talking about AI. Especially again, some people write AI content for their captions and everything of that nature. It's new-ish, but it's not something that's like people don't necessarily do. So
Okay, Sarah's asking, will this recording be shared somewhere? And the answer to that is yes, you will receive a link to the recording in a follow-up email. We got lots of things. The slides will also be emailed. And I posted a link in the chat to a survey about this webinar. It is required by our funders. So if everyone could just take a minute or two to fill that out, we would be super grateful. All right, another question. I attended another workshop where they stated that Instagram prefers reels and stories and not still photos, and the music/sound makes a difference due to what is trending. So how do we combat this as a business without accessing trending sound/music?
yeah, that's kind of one of those big questions. I'm pretty sure. So there's the business account. There used to be a creator account that was kind of this weird hybrid where you had access to. Again, Instagram has changed the UI UX experience. That was a hybrid. It didn't give you as much information as business. The problem, again, it's one of those things where I have had success with the copyright, or the, free to use songs that they do provide on the business account. They're kind of more like jazzy, like elevator music slash airport music that you would hear. But you I think sometimes the only way around it is, say, if you post something from, say, TikTok, or there's background, but then there have been posts where somebody literally is in a gym and the music playing in the background is a copyrighted song and it gets taken down without even you choosing the song. It does help because it adds another layer. I would say bear with the platform for a little bit and utilize what is made available. There is there is a purpose to even those songs, even though they're not the most popular thing. Of course, it's not like Taylor Swift or Post Malone or anything of that nature right now. But that would be my workaround, because I wouldn't want you to put a lot of effort into something and then just because there's a song that's copyrighted in the background, it gets taken down, or or you get in trouble or anything of that nature. So.
Okay, what would you say is the best way to grow a new business Instagram starting from 0 followers?
I'm gonna say something that not a lot of people are like, but start with the people you know. I know it sounds silly, but even the woman, I believe, who created Spanx, her beginning followers were her immediate, not followers, but like the people that helped her business out in the beginning were her first, second degree connections. Get them to be the ones that begin to engage. That will at least alert the algorithms that people are engaging, and then they're going to start to showcase you a little bit more on the explore page, and then you build it out from there. Make sure you're researching good hashtags, make sure you're researching what people want to learn about. Also go on, say, pages of people that are also talking about something that you're sharing. Doesn't have to be a direct competitor. You're not poaching anybody. You're just seeing and you're following people that perhaps, one, you're interested in, and you're following the people that are following them. Don't spam, do it very intentionally. And see how many of those people see your content and say like, oh, this is complimentary to what this person is saying, or I'm interested in this topic. They're talking about shirts, you're talking about pants. Now I have shirts and pants kind of thing. So that's how I would start with the beginning, build that momentum with people, could be your friends and family. It's okay. As long as they're nice and supportive. of anything you do. That's key. And then kind of build it out from there and then go to other people that are doing something similar to you or people you enjoy and are inspired by. And then if other people also enjoy and are inspired by them, they might also be your people as well.
Okay, we did hit the 1 o'clock mark, and have a few more questions. Sarah, do you want to take these last few questions or would you like to close it out?
Um, I can do very quickly. Should I do long or short text descriptions under my posts? It could be long, but I would break up the content so it's not large, chunky paragraphs. So like kind of line, sentence, maybe two sentences. So it's scannability is key. So think about how you read something very quickly. I would build it out so it is like that. I would be descriptive enough where it's helpful. That's the thing. Is this it, you don't want to be too short where it's like, okay, that didn't add value. You want to add a little bit of value, but make it scannable. If your business is licensed to play music via BMI, why can't we use it on Instagram? That one, I don't know. I just know that I wouldn't want somebody to, because again, they might not know that you're licensed. That's the thing. It's all determination from somebody out in the ether that sees it and doesn't necessarily have, say, a list of who is licensed. So that one is a little bit interesting. I think it's a little different from doing that versus say if you say are licensed to use this music, say you're a wedding DJ, you can use it because you have the licenses to use it. Instagram is a little bit more like arbitrary since they're out there and there's millions of users. I just wouldn't want anybody to waste their time creating something and then it gets taken down or the whole post gets messy because the audio is removed. Where can we find good hashtags for a business? There are a lot of hashtag generator platforms. Just type in free hashtag generator, type in your core offerings, products, services, even phrasing that like mine, authenticity, mindfulness, and marketing, things of that nature. They can spit out some good hashtags for you. Diversify the hashtags. Don't use the same hashtags with every post. Try to have like a good bank of them and place what is most relevant. And then yeah, that should be where you should start. Sorry for making this really quick. I just know I also want to be mindful of the time as well for
No,
everybody.
perfect, perfect. All right. Well, with that, I think we're good to wrap up. This was an awesome presentation. Reminder, everyone, please fill out that survey, and I hope everyone has a great rest of their week. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you so much. Hope everybody has a great day. And if you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to reach out.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.